What's up, everybody? This is Herschel Froome from High School Top 200, and this is the Top 200 podcast, the Monday morning meeting. Now, this past week has been pretty cool. I've loved it, and even though I haven't been to any games, I feel like I watched almost half a season all just in one weekend, one week. Because that Hamilton boys game was on. The Hamilton boys game was on Thursday, and then I watched that one, and then I watched the Waimea one and the Marlborough game, which was mean as well. And then I watched a whole bunch of games from Saturday as well. And so I watched them. I watched about 3 of them live. I watched 3 live at one time, and then I watched another 3 live at another time straight after that. And then the ones that I didn't catch live, I caught later on Saturday night, and then yesterday on Sunday, I rewatched almost all of them, and then I skimmed through a lot of them, the ones that I could remember on parts and times, and I take notes and stuff like that as well when I watch games. And so, I think the only thing that was wrong is that I didn't hunt down everybody's team lists from all the games that I watched. And I think I've got a few more games getting sent to me with the ones that I did not watch, so that would be pretty cool. If Rangiora or Wellington College can hook me up with that game, I'd be keen to watch that one. I really want to watch that one too. And I watched a few Wellington games on Saturday and Sunday as well, so it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Even though I can't go to the games, it's still cool that I get to watch everybody play and watch all of the games that I can. And it just felt like there were so many important games. Even I couldn't even decide sometimes which ones to watch, because I wanted to watch pretty much all the ones that I could find, which I did. And so, without the 1A and I guess the North Harbour as well, there's still a bunch of games around the country that matter and that are great and that are, cool to watch and easy to watch as well, with so much talent in all of them. So I was pretty happy. I was happy. My daughters weren't happy because, that just means I spend time away from them, but they got me every other day of the week, I guess, so they just have to sacrifice that as well. But I went through some games, and just like I requested, I do have a team coming out later on today with the team that I thought were all the players that I thought played the best. There were a bunch of players too that I had to leave off. And just trying to find, even trying to shuffle them around. I had to shuffle guys around as well, just to fit some of them in. And so it was pretty hard trying to pick a team. It was fun. It was fun because I got to watch everybody and then really put in a lot of effort of putting in teams. Because, most of the time I'd probably watch maybe 7 or 8 games a week. From different parts of the country, and then maybe 10 sometimes in a week, but then those will get sent later. Heaps of condensed games, but with how much games were going live and streaming, I got to watch a bunch of them all just in 3 days, and so that was pretty cool watching and then picking out all the guys that I liked just from that day, instead of just going through rankings and things like that. I found it really fun. Took a whole bunch of notes. I got to find a better way to take down notes rather than write it out, but I feel like writing it out, I retain more. I'm one of those kids that struggled in class because I wasn't really good at taking notes and all that kind of stuff. But hey, all got different ways of learning. Back in the days, you didn't have those kind of options of different ways of learning. You were either learning or playing up. All those teachers are learning now, huh? Anyways, we'll go with Hamilton boys first. that Hamilton boys game, and like I think, and I spoke a little bit about it on Friday, but it's it is the same. It's the same kind of thing when it comes to the Super 8 and all the teams. I don't care who you are, they all just have that intimidating factor about Hamilton boys and what they are and who they are. And they have this intimidating factor when teams come to Hamilton and they try and play and they try and get at them, and Hamilton just have a way of suffocating teams, and that's exactly what happened to Tauranga boys. Is that they were suffocated out of a game plan. They couldn't even get out. They couldn't even get scrums right. And there was just so much pressure. Like Mason Tupaia just played so well. Heath McEwen was another one. Max played really good as well. I wish George didn't get injured. I wish he had stayed on. Even Gabe was another one as well that I thought was. I wish he stayed on longer. I think Gabe's going to be a really good player next year as well. Of course, Noah's an obvious key point. And Taha didn't kick as good as he's used to kicking, but I don't know what it was. Maybe it was just a bit wet, but he usually kicks better than that. But his ground game was pretty mean, and just the way that he plays the game is pretty cool. And it just seems to flow a lot. But I definitely felt sorry for Curtis. Curtis and Viv, I mean, there was just so many turnovers that. Curtis was trying to play his hardest. He was trying to put everything into it, and sometimes it just doesn't work. Sometimes the more that you try, just the worse it gets. And I think it got to a point where that's where Tauranga was at, and it just wasn't working. It just wasn't working. Um, and it was hard to watch because I know how passionate and how much effort Curtis puts into his game, and then trying to lead the boys as well and be an example and all that kind of stuff, and so like watching that wasn't easy to watch, but him and Viv, like Vivini was over the ball so many times, and Ken Laban and Angus Tarval were right. Is that he was. It was like weighing up which one his turnovers for penalties, but then at the same time you just have to play on that borderline of um, where the rules are, and then let the ref decide whether you are whether you're within the rules or you're not. And you just have to try it. And Vivini was in that as he was in that mode and in that role, and half and half was paying off it. But some of those turnovers stopped a lot from happening, and so I was actually really I actually liked this game. Like I wasn't I didn't think that he did anything wrong even within his penalties. He just played the game the way an open side should. And and I don't even think Hamilton boys could stop him either. Like even when he ran the ball, and I wish he got a lot more ball because he's such a good runner and he's so explosive on contact, and he's not an easy guy to hit. Like he's not that tall, but he's so solid and got very good balance that even if you hit him, he'll be able to gather himself within the impact and still find his feet and keep his balance and still be running and all that kind of stuff. Like, you have to physically put him on the ground and sort of in some way hold him. I wish Josh Bartlett got a lot more ball. Josh is usually a really good runner, and like I was saying, that they were getting suffocated out of their ball and out of their game plan. That things like that couldn't work out for them. They couldn't even get stuff like that started. Ethan Gardner, I really liked a lot. Him and his brother Dante played really good. But yeah, I kind of wish that they went real basic and just kept it there for a bit until they got some kind of base and foundation to build off, because I just don't think that they were building anything, not even any kind of small phases. They went from not having the ball to defending, and then once they got it, they tried something real, real structured and too many steps, and their depth was so far back when Hamilton boys were rushing up so hard. It was just like, why wouldn't you just punch the gap? And that's why I kind of wish that Dan started Paletti, who was obviously a hard guy to tackle, and he needs to be effective. His I guess his most effective attribute is to have the ball and just to run it. And I would like him to run it at Luke Ale as well, and get him and Weston Cobb to at least try and tackle him, take McEwen out of the game somehow and get him to tackle, because a lot of those guys one-on-one can't tackle Dan Paletti, and it's just not that. But then you want something to build off, and I think Dan would have been the best guy to build off. But I mean, that's kind of just how it went with that game, and they really only got the opportunity at the end. Obviously didn't get the try and didn't get, and they had an opportunity then, but that was really the only opportunity that they had in that game. And it's not a reflection on how Tauranga, or on how bad of a Tauranga is as a team, but it really just shows how good Hamilton boys are, because Tauranga is not a bad team at all. Hamilton is just that good. That's why they're the #1 team in the country, and a lot of teams will get phased out like that. And like I've said this before, the way that I would do it is just to really out-physical them and just be physical and physical and physical. But at the same time, that physicality has to last all game, because Hamilton's not a side that gives up and they're not. They don't wither down, but if you at least keep that intensity up the whole time, they can. To me, they can buckle under intensity, not under fitness. They're not going to lose under fitness. Don't try and run them off the table, because they're not. They're just not that kind of side. They've never been that kind of side when they're under Nigel. It doesn't matter how much talent you have, if you're not fit enough for your position. Nigel and Greg, they're not going to pick you. That's just the way that it is with them. They don't care how talented you are. They just care about how hard you work and if your fitness is up to scratch. And so it was hard. It was a hard game to watch, and I really felt for Tauranga boys in that as well. And just trying and just watching them trying and get. It was just hard to get any kind of traction on that game for them, and so yeah, that was a tough one to watch. But I guess that's what happens when you play the #1 team in the country, and I don't even know who Hamilton boys have got next, but they're probably going to struggle as well. I watched the Marlborough game. I think I spoke about this before, where all the points were scored in the first half for Marlborough, and then after that, Waimea just packed it on, and they were just so good, and that kind of has been what Waimea is. Like, Waimea is not a bad side at all. They got a big forward pack. They've got a bunch of talented players that of course, get overlooked because of where Waimea is and because they're a combined school and all that kind of stuff that comes along, all that stigma that comes along with being a combined school. Everyone thinks they're just a bunch of useless guys put together, but it's not. It's got nothing to do with that. It's got to do more with the numbers that they have at their schools. Some of those guys, some of their schools they just don't have enough numbers, and so it's got nothing to do with talent. But when you go up against a team like that, uh, they're always gonna um, they're always gonna play with a chip on their shoulder. I think even with Waimea being, in that Tasman area, I think that's the other thing as well, is that um, they just have that extra thing that they play with. That just that extra chip on their shoulders a bit big because they're seen as the smaller school or the smaller inferior team when it comes to um, Marlborough and even Nelson College, and so I think they just bought that heat, and Marlborough just couldn't stand up for that second half, and Moni Morley was he was to me the only one in that Marlborough side that was on the whole time. Everyone was on in that first half, and then as the first half faded and the tries started coming, they just started giving up. And yeah, Moni was to me, Moni was the only one that really played through it. But I mean, that's kind of what you get from one of the best, top 5 player in the country, and he showed it too. He yeah, he showed exactly what and if you want to go, I think it's on the Tasman page. I think it is Tasman Rugby Union page. Have a look at their game. If you want to go see one of the best props in the country, go and watch that game. And he was sharp. And I just hope that they put up more games so that we can see all this, all the other talent and stuff. Some of the scores. So we're going with top 25 teams, and so that's Palmy, because the Auckland schools aren't playing, and Hamilton boys already played at number 1. They're the number 1 team, and they already played on the Thursday. The 5th ranked New Plymouth boys, they played Gisborne boys and won 54-10. Honestly, this game was so bad. The weather just looked bad. I didn't really like the field, just the way that the field looked. And that's just me seeing it on screen. And so I was thinking, well, if it looks terrible like this on screen, like in real life, it must be pretty bad. And scrums didn't look right just because they were sliding everywhere. Palmy always has a good scrum, and so it just made it look worse for Gizzy, where they couldn't really grab any kind of traction, and they were all kind of sliding back as an 8. They were all kind of sliding back. Heaps of dead time in that game, and that was just based on hard wins that just caused everything to be terrible in terms of passes. Like, you couldn't really go wide, couldn't really spread out the game. It was really mainly just forwards. You couldn't really get any kind of backs flying. But I mean, I think that's where Gisborne was kind of lucky that the conditions were the way that it was, that because I kind of have a feeling that it would have got run up a little bit more if and they 54-10 is already running up the score, but that most of that was done. A lot of that was done in the second half. Oh, actually, no, it was a bit of both. I think it just looked better in the second half, that where things just went up because it just fell to bits. But at one point, Gisborne in the first half were down to 13 men when they had 2 yellow cards as well, which obviously doesn't make it any better. But yeah, that Raymond Tuputupu had a really good game at hooker. He was good. Tato was good as well. I really like who was it? Sam Smith was another one who played really well. Logan Love played really good. So did Tavita. Schuster played good as well. Hanada Schuster. Who are the other ones that really... Yeah, those were like the main ones that stood out. Curtis Heafy played really good as well. He got hit right in the beginning, like the first 30 seconds, I think it was. First minute. He got hit real hard by... what's his name? The Gisborne winger. The Tofa kid really smacked him, eh? Like, oof. And you could just see the wind going out of him too, but Curtis played really good. Pretty much straight after that hit, he played, I mean, maybe it was like a good wake-up call. But yeah, after that, he really killed it after that. But yeah, just an ugly game, eh? Just not very structured, not very... Fetu. Fetu King. Fetu King Tofa was the one that hit him. He's a Warriors player too, I think. But yeah, the game just wasn't structured. It was pretty boring in terms of the conditions made it bad, and the boys couldn't really get that much going. Even with Palmy boys, like they didn't even have that many structures, but when they did have the ball and they were able to get something going, it's pretty much like, if we can get something going, let's score straight away because there's going to be a mistake coming. And anyway, just like with someone passing the ball and then the wind just picks it up, like that kind of stuff. A lot of that kind of stuff was happening, and so Palmy just made the best of that situation, and yeah, they managed to score 54 points. But like I said, I think they're lucky that it was that bad, because I think it might have gone a bit further than that if it was a nice day and no wind and all that kind of stuff, perfect conditions. But yeah, that's just kind of how it was. I talked about this on Friday too with St. Andrews and Rangiora, and I picked St. Andrews to win, but I knew that, and I kind of gave like sort of a warning, because games were getting close, and they just had that bad one against Mid Canterbury that shouldn't have even been close, and I even said they can't have this happen like last year. And I knew Rangiora was coming off a good win against Christ College, and they could upset them, but I still went with St. Andrews because I thought maybe all the boys were, all the boys from last year will be able to pick up the team, but Rangiora was so good, and really to me, I think they outmuscled them. I think that they outmuscled them. First half was even. It was just that second half that was that Rangiora just, to me, took control, and even when they were behind, it still felt that they were confident. It wasn't like they were going to push away or anything like that, or drop their heads or anything. They just stayed strong, and they just went about their business, and they ended up getting it done. And, again, I hope you're not repeating this from last year's stack, and your leaders have got to be leaders right now and remind the boys how crappy it felt last year to fall from number one and every single week lose to the point where you're out of it. And I hope they don't, because I think that they have New Zealand secondary school talent, which you shouldn't be able to fall that far with that kind of talent. You've got some New Zealand secondary school talent coming up next year with guys like Will Stoddard and Torian Barnes, Leno, guys like that who are actual, stars coming up in first 15 rugby, and you shouldn't be in that kind of situation. You still got Issy, you still got Joel and Jamie, and like all these guys, and I think that I just hope it doesn't end up that way. I just really hope it doesn't end up that way. Because I don't know, it's just one of those things for me where I think about it. It's like, you can't have too much, you can't have that much talent and just not be able to stick it together as a team. If that's the case and you're still losing with that much talent, and it seems to fall, I think there should be a quick timeout on your team, and then stop everything and say, well, let's find this problem and where it is. You know, Amini and Jamie, Issy, Jack, Jack Harding, Joel, all these guys that were all there last year. And these are the guys that are leaders now, just have to sit down with the team and go, we can't let this happen. And I know that I'm saying this again from Friday, and it's the same message again, but I hope I don't have to say this every single week with the same message, because you guys are a better team than that. I truly think so. That's why I ranked you guys so high, and you went on this perfect run until now. And it started with a terrible game last week against Mid-Canterbury, who shouldn't even be in your level, and you let them score that many points, like 35, 36, I think was your guys' score last year. They shouldn't have even scored 2 tries in terms of you being a top 10 team and them not even and scraping to make the top 100 teams. But then that shouldn't even be a conversation. That's the way I see it. Shouldn't even be a conversation. But I mean, that's rugby, I guess. That's rugby in a way where you just don't know. And I guess any sport where it's like, I don't care what your team is on paper, you still got to get out there and start, put it all into practice. And if they're not putting it into practice, they're going to lose again next week. This week. And this was the same thing with King's High School, where I watched this King's High School game live too, and King's High School were behind and looked like they were in control. And I was waiting for that moment that they took the lead, but Otago boys were just so strong on defense, and they played so well, and Samisi was just smashing. His runs were crazy heavy. He just had heavy runs, and he was bending that line, and Kings just couldn't do anything about it. Even when they tried to string stuff together, it just wasn't working. They'll just make their own terrible mistakes as well. And then, it just fall to bits. I thought, and like I said, I thought there was going to be a comeback, because it didn't look like they were out of the game ever. And they always had these positive runs, and then it would just disappear, and then they'll do it again. But when they did it, they did it so easily that you thought, oh, it's going to come now. There were like 5 different times where they looked like they were going to score a try, and then just nothing came of it. And only one of the times, at the 5 times that they actually did it, that they scored a try. But then, even when you look at the Otago side, the way that they scored their tries, they just grind it out. They were just grinding the whole time. And they just went phase after phase after phase, working to get their points, where on the other side, Kings will make breaks, and then cough something up right in front of the line, or, get into the 10, 15 meter line of Otago, and then, dumb decisions, little knock-ons, things like that, and it just wasn't working. And then, I don't know about anybody else, but I was waiting for that try to come, and it just didn't. And Otago did great just to hold on defensively and really, really sort of take it to King's High School. And those were the 2 teams that lost in the top 10, and are definitely going to drop out, because, a string of bad games, I guess a draw and a loss for Kings, a bad win, and I'm saying it's a bad win, Stack's bad win against Mid-Canterbury. It just doesn't look good. It doesn't look good at all, and if we're taking it from last year, it's just going to be the same. Well, hopefully not anyway. So boys, sort it out. New Plymouth boys game was good too, and Hastings, another loss, and like I said on Friday, it's starting to. I'm starting to get past the talent side of it, and then they need to do something as a team, and they're playing bad as a team, and whoever those superstars in that team, they've got to step up. Those leaders in that team have to step up, and they have to make it work for them, because if not, they are going to end up at the bottom of this the Super 8, which they haven't been for a long time. They haven't been since 2014, 15. So that's 5 years of them just battling out and really. And it's not like they don't have the talent, because the talent's there. Maybe the boys are getting too used to winning, and the boys that are coming through have not had the experience of loss, or are now maybe a little bit too far removed from how losing used to feel at Hastings, and didn't want to turn back. Maybe they should get some of those boys to come back and talk to these boys now and say, you guys got to get back up, because we didn't work this hard to get out of that for you guys to bring it back down. Next year's team's still going to be good, but this year's team should do a lot better than what they're doing. Super 8's not easy, but the way that they're losing is not good either. Even with the game yesterday, New Plymouth boys are such a good side, but not 35-13 better than Hastings. And that's not on New Plymouth boys, that's on Hastings. Hastings have to take care of that. New Plymouth boys just do what they do, and what they did yesterday, they just killed it. There was just a lot of dominance on that side. And to me, it started from the forwards, and then the backs did what they did. It was cool to watch. It was kind of the same thing with Napier, where Rotorua boys just ran through them in that first half, made it look real easy, and then it came back. Jordan is probably one of the best players on that side as well, and he made a massive difference to. Rain. Made a massive difference to the way that they were running. I like. Jeepers. Didn't know we were supposed to have bad weather. But Jordan's. And it wasn't just Jordan's defense. Like, he was there on defense, but even the balls that he ran, he made it work. He bent the line back. And then there were guys like Dana, who I thought played really well. Kinney was another one that I thought played really good. Tama had a good game. Bliss was also really good at halfback. I want to see. I want to see what it looks like if they kind of switched it up at Rotorua, because they have such, I think, and I guess because Junior's injured. Like, Junior was injured, and he's usually at centre. Then they had the other Fijian boy at centre as well. But I think, to me, Te Hamana, Teote, for me personally, I think he would be better if he was at second five, and then had someone like Junior there as well. Maybe at centre, because Nemani Smith was the other one, and have Nemani on the wing with Jericho York, and then John Hodua as well at fullback. I just think because Te Hamana is such a big runner, and such a somewhat of a game changer when he gets the ball. He just makes things happen. Like, his explosive speed off the spot, to the way that he hits players, and he punches through players and doesn't give up on his run. There's a lot of guys that hit the tackler, they get hit by the tackler, and then they stop and they just fall. Not because they want that, not because they can't get through. It's just because their mind tells them, oh, well, I've made contact, let's get to ground. Where Te Hamana would just take the hit and then try and roll through it, and then you see his legs pumping all the time, because he's not a small kid, he's a big fella. And I just think that him, Junior, Nemani Smith, Jericho York, and John would be a lot better as a backline. And that's just from me thinking. Ngā and Ruki have their own thoughts on the team and how they would do it, and whatever the game plan is, that's why they have it set that way. But I would want to have the ball in Te Hamana's hands a lot more and be more effective closer to the ruck instead of having him outside waiting for the ball to get out there and then him do his thing. But, I mean, obviously they want him one-on-one because on one-on-one he's not going to get stopped. But it's just getting the ball to him. You're hoping that there's a stop on the way to get the ball to him. I think if Te Hamana was there at second five, obviously showing his power in the first few phases or so, the defense will stop just in case he gets that ball, and then to quickly flick it out to Junior or John coming up into the line, and then having someone outside like York, who was really fast, or Nemani, was also big and explosive at the same time. Nemani gets a lot of speed just off one step. He just must be just as Fijian DNA that he has, but he's got a really quick first step. Is it quick? Nah, it's like more powerful. That's what it is. It's more powerful than quick. But it gathers a lot, and Napier found it hard a little bit once he got the ball, and he made a few mistakes. And I think that they were kind of lucky that it happened, because he would have opened it up again. But Napier, I thought they looked a bit gassed to me. The forwards looked really tired. Max looked injured from the start. Gus played really, really good. I think he was probably one of the best forwards. Him and Mitchell, Curran, the prop, he was really good. I really liked him in the game as well. But I thought they just kind of looked unfit. And their safest bet was going to the lineouts and having Gus in the lineouts. He got pretty much everything. Malasia at 6, moving to 8 when I think Hanari was one that went off that got injured, and then Malasia went to 6 from 8, went to 8 from 6. But I don't know why they didn't bring on Hugh Taylor early, because Hugh came on in the second half when he could have easily come in there, earlier on when Hanari went off. And whatever that coaching decision is, I don't know how it is that Hugh Taylor's already at under 18 Hurricanes open side. But why wouldn't you bring him on then? Or why wouldn't you even start him? That's the other question, is why wouldn't you start him and just have Malasia at the back anyway? Because the other strange thing to me was that Jaden Stock was out on the wing, and he didn't even get the ball. Honestly, I can only remember him getting the ball maybe once, and that was late in the second half. Now, Jaden is such a talented player. And he's one of the top 3 guys in their team. Now, whatever that decision is for him to be out on the wing, the question is, did it help? Well, obviously not, because they lost the game. Ethan was on the sideline too, but Ethan, the guy said that he was sick. I already heard that he was sick, but they said he was sick too. And Ethan came on 15 minutes, I think it was, or 20 minutes, and he almost made 3 breaks in that 15, 20 minutes. And Ethan's that player. If you've seen Ethan play, Ethan Martin, he's that way. You give him the ball and he just takes off straight away. And that's exactly what he did when he got the ball. He made more of an impression on me in just that little time that he was on the field than pretty much anyone on that Napier side, I guess, apart from Gus and Malasia and And current, I think it was like, but like, I don't know. There was just something wasn't right about the selection of the team. Whatever that was, I don't know what it is. But whatever it was, it didn't work. And to me, Rotorua got a bit relaxed and lazy in that second half, and some of them dudes went to sleep. It didn't help that Takahashi got sent off as well, which I don't actually really agree with either when he did get sent off. I mean, when I was watching it, I didn't see anything wrong or him pulling it down. I think what the call was. But yeah, it just wasn't really good for Rotorua boys in that second half. So I don't know, but they got the Moeska Cup, and that's what they wanted. That's what they wanted, and the Moeska Cup is important. Like, I know some of you boys don't even know what it is, and don't even know why it's that important. But that's not your fault. The rules of it should change, and there should be something. There should be some kind of incentive that comes with it. Um, uh, like there should be like a money incentive or something like that comes with that for the boys to want to win it, because they don't even promote it. I'm like pretty much the only one that promotes it. Me and like Adam Julian from Sky, like we're probably the only ones that really promote it until it comes up on a TV game, and then the commentators has to talk about. Then they talk about the importance of it, and then only some kids are. But then I think that because it doesn't move around a lot, because you can really only challenge for it if it's on someone's home field. And then if it's in a finals, if it goes to top four, then you can do it then. But in other cases, you can't. And so if you're only challenging for it on someone's home ground, then it's not always made. It's not always given that importance. I think. I think if you hold it and you have to win every single game with it, like whether you're home or away, and it's always put up for grabs, the boys will always want to keep it. And there should be some kind of incentive, maybe even if it's at the end of the year. If you hold it at the end of the year, then you get like a grant or something like that from New Zealand Barbarians or whoever owns the Moeska Cup. For teams to want to win it. That's what it is to me, because the boys don't understand what it is or how special it is either. But if there was some incentive to be the last holders of the year for it, and teams from outside of the region would probably want to drive to wherever you are and whoever's holding it and want to play a game and set the game up. To have that cup at the end of the year. There has to be something, just so that everyone has some kind of chance at being able to play for it. That's what I think it is. I'm not the one to make the decision. I'm just the one that talks about it all the time. I mean, I always have it in my mind and always know where it is and that kind of stuff. But that's just me. Rotorua just has it now, and they have a few challenges coming up, which will be good. But it just needs to be made more of a deal. I think there should be more of a deal made about it. Oh man. So let's move on to some of these other games. I watched the Silverstream. So Silverstream are ranked 14th. They played Mana College and they got 76-5. Mana College is not a bad team. They're building a program right now, Mana College, and they started it last year. They're already in the first division or Prems or whatever it's called, and they have a young team this year, which is great. And they're not a bad side, talent-wise. They're just inexperienced. They just need to be told and guided and given more opportunities to practice out those scenarios, and they'll be a better team. But they're not a bad side at all. What they were good at to me was that they, and this is watching them against Silverstream. Oh, and Riley Higgins is the man. Like I don't know how many tries he ended up with, maybe 4. But it's not that he scored 4 against them. It was just the way that he scored them was just all class. Like, he was honestly on another level to everybody on that field. No one even came close to how good he was. Not even guys on his own team or anything like that. He was just killing it. But back to Minor College. Minor College is not bad. They're good at retaining the ball. They just get mixed up about where they are on the field, and the halfback needs to open his mouth a lot more and organize the boys and where they're supposed to be. The other thing is that when he got them into their positions and in their pods and in the attack, all the boys were leaving at different times. There was no timing in their runs. Not that when they had the ball they were hitting the line. It was like the run when someone had the ball, the runs were good. It's just that, like, there was no trickery in it. There's just one leaving and another one leaving, another one. So it's like, well, and the guy that gets caught with the ball, sometimes he would have no one there to clean out, and someone just had to come flying in. And one of the boys that knows how to play just noticed it and just went and saved them a bit, and then they retained it and all that kind of stuff. But that's all it really is. They're not a bad team. They're not a bad side, and they just need more practice. They need more, I guess, position training. Any of you guys that are professionals down there, please go and help them out with some of that stuff. Lend a hand to those small high school, all you professional players that are finished with Super Rugby now. Go and help them out, man. Go help them out. Offer some of your knowledge. You don't have to do it, but just do it for free. You got nothing else to do. Super Rugby's finished. Go help them out, man. There's a bunch of you still down there. Give back a little bit, man. Like, because if you're in high school, you would have been buzzing out when Super Rugby players come to you. So go do the same thing. Just go offer your help to those coaches as well. 15th ranked Fielding, they played Rathkill. They were behind at halftime. I guess the real team came on in the second half and did a number on them and kept them scoreless in that second half. But Rathkill did great just to get that early first half lead for them. And then I guess once the better players come on, it's just the way that it works. Just turns out that way. Fielding are definitely moving up the ranks, and I'm coming to see them sooner. Hopefully, I get to. I was going to go see them against Wanganui Collegiate as well, or Whanganui Collegiate, but I'll find another game to go to Fielding because I really want to see that backline and see what they do. I watched. I didn't see St. Pat's Town. Number 16 ranked St. Pat's Town played Whited Upper. They won 74-7, which is kind of surprising. I didn't think Whited Upper would give that many points away. Number 19th ranked Christchurch boys against St. Bede's, who are ranked 20th. Such a sad game. It's such a bad game. First time I've seen 2 captains getting sent off too at the same time, which was within the same time frame, which was funny. But Christchurch just, George's 2 tries, and that was kind of about it. George Memphis scored 2 tries, and that's kind of about it. But Jamie played great. Jordan was mean. Fabian was really good. Sam Foster, I thought, played really well. Even in the backline, I thought everyone got a shot. I think everyone got a shot to impress in this game. And Christchurch were playing so fast and really organized, and the execution was great because they were just making breaks. Seemed like they were making breaks when they wanted to make the breaks, and then they'll just, whatever they planned out, it just happened. And all the forwards were in the work. All the forwards were getting up. All the forwards were making everything count, and it was just Christchurch really, really did outplay them. Really did. And when I was getting ready to watch the game, I thought this is going to be a mean game, and it was really the opposite. And St. Bede's is better than that. St. Bede's is a really good side. They just didn't show up for this game. And so George has got to do something about his team, sit down with the coaches and work something out and come back stronger, next week. And hopefully, Hopefully come back with just a better result. And not even just a result, I think, because like I don't mind when teams lose. I mind the way that they lose. Hard fought games and then losing is fine with me as long as if you were able to execute things that you really wanted to do and that you got better than you did last week, even if you don't win the game, to me it's fine, it's successful, it's great. But when you lose in such a bad way, that to me is when I don't really like it. I don't like teams that should be performing good and they're just terrible in their execution and their gameplay, and I just didn't expect that from St. Bede's in that game on Saturday. And so hopefully, next week will be better. Hopefully next week will be better. They have too good of a team for them to repeat it 2 weeks in a row. The Christ College game was that was a pretty mean game. That would have been a great TV game. And Christchurch being down by 2 tries in the last 7 minutes, and then they came back to win it right at the end on the last play was flipping mean. Daniel Dixon was crazy good in that game too. He was like Riley, like Daniel Dixon was so hard to shut down. It's kind of like that they just left him to do what he did, and then whenever the ball switched to somebody else, then they would then make a play, because Daniel was doing everything. He made so many breaks on that outside edge, and even all of his offloads turned out. He got all his lineouts. He was making tackles, got a few steals at the same time, and he was just all over the place. He was so good. But yeah, he was. I don't know. It was just bad that they didn't win with his performance. But the ones that I liked on who was it? On Christ's. Where is their team? Because there was a few of them that were just all game, just non-stop, really. The forwards played really, really good. That front row that they had on that team, I thought was good. Just trying to find this team here, because to me it was all about the forward play. The forward pack that started. Jack Jones, the year 12. I think he's young year 12 too. He played at hooker. He was really good. Him, Liam Pratt, and Don Lambert were really, really good. I like them. Fletcher Anderson, always good. Always good. Louis Gunn and Nick Shearer were also really good as 9 and 10s. And then even when Sean moved into 9, right near the end of the game, he was also really good. It's funny too, because like Guy Chaffee, who's usually the starting hooker, and this is not a shot at him, but and I guess it's a great problem to have for Christ College, because like the standard didn't drop, especially against a good team like Nelson College. He stood up for that game, and he was going against Dylan Irvine, who was played really, really well. Charlie Perkins was good, the open side for Nelson as well. Jacob Kingineha was also really good. Even Justin Okoyama, the halfback, who scored a really good try, he cleaned that try up. But all the young guys that they had, or the guys that didn't usually start for Christ College, they all played really well, and so they've got to fix something up there. They got to figure out who in the long run, I guess, is going to be better for their team at hooker. But Jack Jones he looking real sharp. I like the way that he played on Saturday. And that one in the wind was just cool. I watched the Scotch College game. Ryan played really mean. Letty played really good. Dom at number 8, where they were trying a little bit, he ran really well. I like that way. His Jonty Bird, I really enjoyed his game, just his lines that he was running. Even his passing game was really good. Like Jonty's looks like a prop, but he runs like a second five, and even his playmaking is really is way above average, way above average. Um, and he played really good as well. And they beat Tawa, and Scots will be moving up the rankings as well. So will Christ College. Shirley Boys won against Mid Canterbury. I watched the Francis Douglas game and St. John's, and that 44-5, St. John's College winning that one over Francis Douglas, and that just shouldn't have been the score. It should have been a lot closer, but Johnnies were just running it, and like everything that they had was just running it. And I even had sort of questions over the starting lineup for St. John's, because I was kind of used to having Kolovia start, but then they had the Timoko guy starting, Timoko Tangaroa kid starting at second five, then having Brandon Oakes and then Charles Salesi, and also Daniel Tukupenny was at fullback. But then it all seemed to work out, and it worked really well. And I guess everyone just they just raised their game together as a team, and it just all worked out. And 44-5, I guess, is what you get. And the north side of that CNI competition is really hard. And St. John's beating St. Paul's Collegiate, losing to Wesley, losing to St. Peter's, all really pretty close games. And I think the Wesley one was the only one that they kind of should have done a lot better than that. I think if they had another run at it, or if they played a full season, I think St. John's would have been in that top four at the end of the season. And so I'm hoping that they can pick up another win somewhere. I'm going to go to their next game, which is in Taupo, when they play St. John's. When they play St. John's Hastings as well, which is a game that they should win. Whanganui beat St. John's Hastings, which was really good. Like, that was a really good game as well. I think Adam Lennox was the one that I guess tore up. Like, he's yeah, you say that. I mean, like, Hastings, St. John's Hastings, not the the greatest leveling team, to sort of, I guess, test yourself against. But with Adam Lennox scoring 3 tries, to me, and just the way that it was done, like, he was just one of the better players that I saw over the weekend. I thought he played really good, and I think even with if he played that same way against other sides, I still think he would have played the same and would have got not 3 tries, but he would also, just his talent level would have been the same, and his effort would have been the same, and he would have been all good. I think he would have been all good. What were the other games? Oh, Morrinsville. This is down in Waikato, so Morrinsville lost to Forest View, who haven't lost a game yet, which is pretty cool. Tokoroa High School, so I guess the 2 teams in Tokoroa took it out. Tokoroa won 62-6 over Kaukaroa. That's somewhere in Hamilton. I don't know where that is, to be honest. They postponed the Te Aomuru and Fraser game, and I think that's sometime this week. If it's a week game, I'll probably go and see it as well. Oh, if you're allowed to, I'll go and see it. Cambridge beating Matamata was a pretty good win as well, and all those 3 teams are kind of similar in the same range. Down in Wellington, St. Bernard's beat Aotea College. Hibs beat Parapara Umu. Porirua beat Waimea College, Upper Hutt, had a massive game against Kapiti. And Upper Hutt is one of the schools that I'm looking out for too, and they really should be in that top Wellington comp. They're such a good side. And I've watched a few of their games now and hoping to be sent another one. And they've got a really good young team right now. And so next year, I am hoping that they all stick together. I mean, if some of them have been offered scholarships, because from watching them, I believe that some of them should be offered or should go to bigger schools. But if they all stay together, they're going to be a really, really good side next year. And they will be a hard team to beat, even when they get to that first division, that Premier Division or whatever they call it in Wellington. Because I actually think they can beat teams like I think they can beat Aotea. I think they can beat Mana. I think that they can beat Tawa. Well, I actually think that they're all sort of in the same range together. I think they're all in that same kind of range together. They won't be able to beat St. Brendan's, but they'll probably come really close to, or they can beat Wairarapa, and maybe even beat Wellington. But they're all just right there. All of them are the same, and so I kind of feel sad that the Upper Hutt Upper Hutt High School is still in that second one in that Murray Jensen Cup, and not in the top one. But if you guys have a chance to see them, go and have a look at them because they're such a good side, and they just need time. They just need time and game time and experience, just sort of like Minor College. I think they're a bit more organized in Minor College and have maybe a little bit more talent. But one thing they do need to work on is their scrums. They have a really good front row when it comes to running the ball, making tackles, rucks, and all that kind of stuff. But just their scrums alone, their technique isn't great. They're all at different heights in their front row. Their grips look really weak. It's like they don't know how to find. And that's the other thing. I don't know if they even know how to scrum, or if they've even been told how to scrum. This is just from what I'm seeing. They don't know how to find their grips. They don't know where it's like they don't know where to put their hands, or how to put their hands, or how to make their grips, or how to find their strong points. And they are really weak in terms of after that initial hit and getting that second one going, they just pretty much slide back. And I don't necessarily think it's the locks, but that front row needs to get set first before those locks can actually have a chance, and even that loose trio, and that's just at scrum time. So please, any of you professional guys, and if you're from that area and you guys are props and you guys are front rowers, please go and help them out. They need some help, especially in that front row. And just teach them how to scrum. Just just get down there with them. Just help them out, and please teach them how to scrum, because they're such a good side, and they just need to take care of that. When they're playing Porirua, they were getting done over by Porirua pretty much the whole game until Porirua got tired, and they couldn't push in the scrums, and then Upper Hutt started winning after that. But that doesn't count. Should be able to do it from the start, and they have big enough boys who are strong enough, because I've seen them play, that they'll be able to scrum if you just teach them how to scrum. Tamuri had a good win against Lincoln Combined. St. Thomas destroyed Aoraki Combined as well. And St. Thomas, man, the consistency of this team is pretty frustrating, because they're such a talented side, but you just don't know when they're going to get up. You just don't know what team is turning up. And I hope this is just with rugby, because I know that they have a really good league program, and if they play the same way they play in rugby in the league, that's going to be frustrating if they ever go to nationals sometime and you just don't know what team's turning up. Because this team, and like some of you league boys around the country that know these St. Thomas boys, you know that they can league. These guys can play league, and they're some of the best players in the country. I just hope it's different. Because I get frustrated. I get frustrated because I see their roster. I was like, this is going to be a good game, and then they don't turn up. Or then there'd be other games where I'll be like, oh, they don't look like they're going to be too competitive, and then all of a sudden they play good again, and then just like that. Too inconsistent for me to have such a talented squad like that. But I mean, yeah, keep winning. Try and push for that top 8 again. Or stay in that top 8. St. Kevin's won. Good win over Otago boys, second 15, 34-19. Southland got a really good win over Dunstan, which is a score that I was hoping to be really. It's not. I wanted them to smash Dunstan at all. It's not. That's not what it was. I just wanted the Southland boys to be what Southland boys is. And 56-10 over a good Dunstan side is the Southland boys that I really wanted to see. John McGlashan finally got a big win, even if it is over Otago Combine. Still a good win of 88-7. Mount Aspiring as well, won over Wakatipu High School, which is a good game. Like I saw little bits and pieces that someone sent me some stuff, but someone sent me some clips. But if someone can send me a full game, I'll be pretty keen to watch that one. And South Otago won 29-0 over Waitaki boys. What are you guys doing? Something's got to happen with this Waitaki boys. Surely you guys are better than this. You guys, I'm sure you guys got players. You guys always have players. I don't know what it is, unless you guys are rebuilding, but you're doing it from a really, really low platform if that's the case. And yeah, they're just never usually this bad, and it is. And I'm not trying to hate. You ask any old boy from Waitaki boys, it has never been this bad. Not this bad. You guys have had some bad years, but not this bad. And I hope that this is a building year, and that you guys that are in that team that are young are taking something from this, because hopefully next year it's going to be better. My team will come out later on today, of the team of the week that I thought of, the players that I thought were really good and that stood up. Also, the rankings are going to be set again. Sometimes I've got to get better than this, but sometimes I change the rankings and then forget to upload it just because I'm doing something for my daughters or something like that. I'm in a rush, and so this week the year 12s and the top 200 will be changed, and last week, if you want to have a look at it, the year 11s have been changed as well, and then obviously the top 100 school rankings will be changed as well, as it does every single week with the teams that go up and down within the rankings. But I was told that September 5th is when the 1A is back, and then they play it through. But then there's teams that miss two. They're not going to they're not going to revisit games that they've missed. They're just going to carry on. I'm not too sure why they don't just recover. It's not like we've got anything else after this, but they're just not going to recover those two games. And so depending on who you're missing out on, it's either good or bad. I guess even if you're missing bad teams, right? Like, let's say that you had Dilworth and Liston or someone like that. Got like two teams that are at the bottom, and you're one of the bigger teams. If you miss that, you're missing easy wins for those bigger teams, and then a chance to get your for and against pretty high. But then, I mean, if like for example, St. Kitts, they miss out on St. Peter's and King's College. Now, you may look at it like, oh, St. Kitts is dodging, and they get to miss out two big teams. I was like, well, at the same time, St. Peter's might be sitting back saying the same thing, and King's College might be saying the same thing too, because King's College lost to them in the preseason. So there is that and because that backline is actually doing good now with those young fellas and they're actually stepping up, you don't want to take that to chance. You don't. And so it really just depends. But I mean, I think the 1A can figure something out and go, well, we're not playing any finals. There's no rep teams or anything like that, as far as I know. And then, Condors in that, and the sevens is not till a few more months later on. It's like, where's the hurt in this? You know, what are you running into that you're going to disrupt, like just having these two makeup games? I really don't know. I'm not too sure what they're looking at, but I'm just a fan. Like, I'm a fan. I'm a Fresh 15 fan, and would just love to see those games anyway. I mean, we were before the shutdown. We were looking at St. Peter's and St. Kinnigan's coming on TV, which would have been like a real mean game to see. But now we get to miss it, and we don't even get to see it at all. Or we don't get to see it play out. Um, but yeah, I don't really know what the reason is for that. I know that the coaches would probably want those games regardless of who it is, because it means that those could potentially help you um, get that extra stuff that you need, like whether you need to win those two games or you need someone to beat someone else to win for you to go up. That would be the other reason that I'll be looking at those games as well. But I think that's all I wanted to talk about. I always have stuff to talk about. I mean, the NBA is on right now. I wish I'd talked about, have some guys. Actually, I'll probably get one of my mates to come and talk some NBA. I love basketball. I love basketball so much. Even football, American football, I love that too. The Warriors did good. They won. I didn't care if it's just about against the Doggies, but they won. And Dylan White lost. That was good. Uppercut to his face. Dude went night, and so that was pretty cool to watch too. Adesanya's coming on soon. Pretty stacked Kiwi lineup as well, which is going to be cool to see, and even to see it, and even to watch the fight without a crowd. And I want to hear Izzy just go off on him and just trash talk them through that fight and put him to sleep too. I hope he puts him to sleep. Pretty ass fella. But that's all I got for today. I don't want to do it too long, but at least you guys get to listen to it when you guys are going to work, if you guys are still working or whatever, or if you're still at home, got nothing else to do. Put my ugly ass voice on, look at my ugly face on this YouTube. Make sure that you guys click and subscribe. Click on these ads, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Share it with all your other mates. It's the only place that you can hear about First 15 in depth, and with players and teams and everyone from around the country. This is High School Top 200. Herschel Fruin. Peace.